Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 1 hour. The Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson says India is studying the implications of US sanctions of Russian oil companies while remaining engaged with the American side on finalizing a trade deal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to inaugurate and initiate projects worth 1140 crore Indian rupees in Gujarat's Kevadia around Sardar Patel's Statue of Unity. Donald Trump dubs his meeting with Xi Jinping in Busan a great success. The US President agrees to trim fentanyl-related tariffs, and the Chinese counterpart says he'll keep rare earth supplies going. Hurricane Alyssa heads towards the Bahamas and Bermuda after wreaking havoc in Haiti and Jamaica. And in the second Women's Cricket World Cup semi-final, Australia lose their captain Healy's wicket early after winning the toss and deciding to bat first against India, but Litchfield and Perry steady the ship. Trishul gets a century. The External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal, while addressing the media on Thursday, said some Indian companies have now received licenses to import rare earth elements from China.
We confirm that some Indian companies have received licenses for importing rare earth magnets from China.
The External Affairs Ministry spokesperson also confirmed that the United States has granted India a 6-month sanctions exemption or relief for operations at the Chabahar port in Iran, a key project along the Gulf of Oman.
I can confirm that we have been granted exemption for a 6-month period on the sanctions that were applicable, American sanctions that were applicable on Chabahar.
On India's cooperation with Afghanistan, Jaiswal reiterated New Delhi's readiness to support sustainable water management projects, including hydroelectric dams on the Kunar River.
India stands ready to support all efforts of Afghanistan that are directed towards sustainable management of water resources, including hydroelectric projects. You also would know that between the two countries there has been a long history of cooperation on water matters. The Salma Dam, for example, is a perfect example of this cooperation, which is today called India-Afghanistan Friendship Dam.
And on the question of trade, the spokesperson said India and the US remain in active discussions to finalize a trade package, with talks continuing at various levels.
We continue to remain engaged with the US side to conclude a trade deal, and these discussions are continuing. On the specific questions of of tariff, etc., I would refer you to Ministry of Commerce.
Let's get you more on this. My colleague Jessica Tareja joining us from the newsroom live. Now, Jessica, hi. How significant are the MEA spokesperson's remarks related to India-US, India-Russia, India-Afghanistan and India-China relations?
Well, yes, in this weekly briefing by the Ministry of External Affairs, a lot of issues were taken up of prime importance, and you heard the response and the remarks that came from the Additional Secretary Ranveer Jaiswal, also the spokesperson of the MEA, say that when it comes to the India-US trade deal or the issues related to tariff, that would be best, of course, answered by the Commerce Ministry. But at the same time, he did mention that the talks are ongoing and the two sides are engaged in coming to a conclusion as to what the final trade deal would look like, which is the case for the United States, even with China at this point, as both countries face near equal 50% tariff each, with China, of course, now at 47%. So a lot that was discussed in terms of the India-United States relations, even with the US sanctions on Russian oil companies and India's import of Russian oil and Russian crude. That was also where the External Affairs Ministry spokesperson said that it will be subject to India's economic needs and what's best available in the market. It all depends certainly on that. And with India importing most of its energy needs, it certainly would take into consideration the volatility of the market and what best prices are offered, something that the Indian government has maintained in the past as well. And if you talk about Afghanistan, there was one question that I did ask the spokesperson, which was on the construction and funding of a dam project in the Kuna province of Afghanistan, where he said that we've had a relationship with Afghanistan when it comes to water management resources in the past as well. He did mention the Selma Dam project as well. So a lot that was discussed, even with the visit of the Taliban-led Afghanistan Foreign Minister Amir Muttaqi, who was here in New Delhi just a few weeks ago, if you'd recall, Gautam. So a lot was discussed in that particular bilateral meeting as well. And if you talk about US, India and China, well, yesterday they had put out a release saying that the 23rd round of talks or core commander level meetings did take place, and that is in continuation to these confidence building measures that both the countries have been working on when it comes to border management and other trade related issues as well, where there are other mechanisms that followed, which was the special representative talks which were held last year, and before that as well there has been a WMCC mechanism which deals with a host of issues when it comes to India and China. And with the resumption of flights, there is certainly a movement in that direction when it comes to easing of tensions and moving towards a more productive relationship, as both would have wanted it.
Right, Jessica. So fairly packed with a lot of information and updates there. The weekly MEA briefing addressed by Randeep Jaiswal, MEA spokesperson. Thanks for joining us on that subject for the moment. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Gujarat on a two-day visit starting Thursday, shortly from now. In fact, Prime Minister Modi will be flagging off e-buses at Ekta Nagar in Kevadia Thursday evening itself. He will also inaugurate and lay the foundation stones of several infrastructural and developmental projects on day one of his Gujarat visit. Now, these projects aim to enhance the tourist experience, improve accessibility and support sustainability initiatives in the area. With a total investment of over 1140 Indian crore rupees, the projects reflect the government's vision of promoting eco-tourism, green mobility, smart infrastructure and tribal development in the region surrounding the world's tallest statue. During this evening's program, Prime Minister will also release a special commemorative coin of 150 rupees denomination and a stamp marking the 150th birth anniversary of Sardar Patel. Prime Minister will also participate in the Rashtriya Ekta Divas celebrations and offer floral tributes to Sardar Patel on the 31st of October, which is Friday. He will administer the Ekta Divas pledge and also witness the Ekta Divas parade. Union Home Minister Amit Shah announced grand celebrations for Sardar Patel's 150th birth anniversary, hailing the Iron Man's role in unifying India. Speaking at a Bihar rally, Amit Shah revealed a Republic Day style parade at Ekta Nagar in Kevadia on the 31st of October, which is Friday, on the occasion of National Unity Day. He urged nationwide participation in the celebrations.
श्रद्धेय सरदार पटेल की 150वीं जयंती के उपलक्ष्य में एकता नगर केवड़िया कॉलोनी में जो भव्य परेड का आयोजन हो रहा है, सरदार पटेल साहब का आजादी के बाद देश को एक करने में, आज के भारत के निर्माण में और एक भारत बनाने में कितना बड़ा योगदान है। इस बार रन फॉर यूनिटी को भी बड़े स्तर पर आयोजित करने का निर्णय लिया गया है। देश के सभी राज्य, केंद्र शासित प्रदेश, जिला पुलिस स्टेशन, सभी स्कूल्स और यूनिवर्सिटी में रन फॉर यूनिटी का आयोजन हुआ है।
Now, India celebrates Rashtriya Ekta Divas or the National Unity Day on the 31st of October, which is Friday, to honor Sardar Patel's legacy in unifying the nation. After independence, Sardar Patel, the first Deputy Prime Minister of the country, had played a key role in promoting unity and diversity. This year marks Sardar Patel's 150th birth anniversary. The Delhi police has made special arrangements to mark the occasion. Vishal Baristow caught up with the Delhi Police's public relations officer to find out more.
As you are aware, the whole nation is celebrating 150th anniversary of Lauh Purush Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, our first Home Minister. Delhi Police also has carved out a massive plan. We are having Run for Unity in our all more than 200 police stations on the theme of national unity. Other than this, in collaboration with the schools, we are having plantation program in schools as well as police premises. Plus, in both schools as well as police premises, we are organizing a photo exhibition on the life cycle of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji, and that exhibition will be open for next 15 to 20 days for public to visit. Anybody can come and see that. Other than this, wherever the programs are being organized in the city on this Rashtriya Ekta Divas, everywhere we have made elaborate police arrangements both for security and traffic, so that public has all the convenience to reach the place of function and attend the program.
Now, when we talk about Run for Unity, how many police personnel would be participating in the run?
More than 30,000 people are expected, because we have around 200 police stations, and every police station we are planning that more than 100 people run, plus 200-300 people from the general public of the area, they will also be running. So the total number would be touching around 1 lakh, but police personnel will be certainly there more than 30,000.
What is going to be the route of this run, and how long is what is the distance?
Route is different in every police station. As I told you, we are organizing this run in every police station. So elaborate route plannings have been made in every police station, and locally on with the help of media and social media, it is being shared with the public of the area.
So there you heard the PR of Delhi Police. Special arrangements have been made to mark this occasion. With cameraman Shamunand Mishra in Delhi, this is Vishal Baristow for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Gaza's Al-Azhar University reopens its gates for the first time to new students in 2 years since the ceasefire came into effect. Dutch centrist D66 party wins big in the national elections as populist and anti-immigration Wilders loses support. And the French police round up at least 5 more suspects in the Louvre jewellery heist case. No recovery of stolen goods made yet.
Reddit users are debating whether British even use the divide and rule policy.
This question of whether there was divide and rule is like asking sort of whether the sun rises in the east. It was to accentuate the sense of separation and difference, which ultimately culminated in the tragic horrors of partition. Freedom struggle was a struggle for everybody. How can we accept the logic that had divided the nation? The original sin is right at the feet of the British.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. A high-stakes meeting between US President Donald Trump and Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping concluded in Busan in South Korea with a decision on tariffs, rare earth exports as well. The bilateral meeting, which was held for about an hour and 40 minutes, longer than scheduled, was their first face-to-face meeting since 2019. Speaking to reporters on board Air Force One after the meeting, Trump said he had struck a deal to reduce tariffs on China in exchange for Beijing resuming US soybean purchases, keeping rare earth exports flowing, and cracking down on illicit trade of fentanyl. Even energy trade could be in the mix. Earlier, as they sat down with their delegations at talks, Xi told Trump via a translator that it was normal for two leading economies of the world to have friction now and then.
Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our two economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries.
The trade war has reignited this month after Beijing proposed dramatically expanding curbs on exports of rare earth minerals vital for high-tech applications, a sector that China dominates. Trump vowed to retaliate with additional 100% tariffs on Chinese exports and with other steps, including potential curbs on exports to China made with US software, moves which could have upended global economy. But while meeting Xi, Trump said he'll have a fantastic relationship for a long time with him.
It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected President of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
And she also reciprocated, saying that the US and China should be partners and friends.
President Trump, it is a great pleasure for me as well to meet you. And it feels very warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other. And it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again.
And on conflicts around the world, she said China and the US must jointly shoulder responsibility as great powers.
Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace, and you are very enthusiastic about settling various regional hotspot issues. I appreciate your great contribution to the recent conclusion of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. During your visit to Malaysia, you witnessed the signing of the Joint Declaration on Peace along the Cambodia-Thailand border, to which you had provided input. China has been helping in our own way Cambodia and Thailand properly settle their border disputes, and we have also been promoting peace talks to resolve other hotspot issues. The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and the US can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world.
Let me quickly get you the key highlights of Donald Trump's reactions after the meeting. Well, Trump termed his meeting with Xi as amazing, in which he said a lot of decisions were made. One of the most contentious issues between both the sides was of rare earths, on which Trump stressed that all the related issues have been settled and there are no more roadblocks. Trump also told reporters that effective immediately, the US would reduce tariffs by 10% on all Chinese goods enacted earlier in response to the flow of chemical ingredients for fentanyl into the US. He stressed that Xi has agreed to work very hard to stop fentanyl. Trump noted that China, as announced earlier, will start buying large quantities of soybeans, which I appreciated, is what he said. Donald Trump also said that Beijing will be speaking to NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and others about taking chips. The US President also said he will be going to China in April and Xi will be visiting the US sometime after that. And overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, Trump rated the meeting with Xi at 12. Meanwhile, there were concerns ahead of today's talks that Taiwan would become a pawn in the highly anticipated meeting between the two superpowers. However, Trump clarified that it never came up in the discussions with Xi. Ahead of the talks, the self-governed island said it's confident in its relations with the US. Foreign Minister Lin Jialong said both the nations have close cooperation on security and other matters. Taiwan's democratically elected government rejects Beijing's claims of sovereignty over it. And Xi Jinping has also hailed a consensus with US President Donald Trump on trade. The Chinese president has urged a swift follow-up to ease global economic fears after his meeting with Trump in this Thursday summit. She also told state media that China seeks no rivalry, likening its economy to an ocean resilient to risks. He has also stressed on stable US-China ties and dialogue over confrontation. The Chinese president also advocated trade as a propeller for long-term cooperation, while warning against a vicious cycle of revenge, calling for positive interactions on the world stage. Both Trump and Xi have pledged ongoing communication to implement agreements and deliver results. And China's Commerce Ministry has announced on Thursday a one-year suspension of the 9th of October export controls on rare earth technologies, easing tensions with the US amid global supply chain strains. The freeze, effective immediately, halts requirements for licenses on mining, smelting and production line technologies critical for magnets in autos, electronics and defense. The move follows high-level talks between Trump and Xi, while trade teams convened in Malaysia this week, yielding consensus on de-escalation. As the world's top rare earth producer, Beijing's prior curbs had slowed US approvals, fueling negotiations. Officials will refine plans during the pause, with Washington praising the step towards stable flows. This aligns with Xi's pledge for uninterrupted supplies, potentially paving the way for Donald Trump's April visit to China next year. Now on to West Asia, and Al-Azhar University in Gaza has reopened its doors, welcoming its first new students in 2 years since the Gaza ceasefire came into effect. The registration area at Al-Azhar University was bustling with students. For many of them, this represents not just the start of a new semester, but a signal that life is beginning anew. The conflict between Israel and the Hamas had brought life in the Gaza Strip to a near standstill, forcing universities to suspend teaching and enrollment. Before the conflict, Gaza had 51 universities and colleges providing education to 226,000 students. The conflict turned most of them into ruins, with numerous books and research materials burned to ash. The Dutch election ended in an unprecedented cliffhanger on Thursday, with only a few thousand votes separating the far-right party, a firebrand Geert Wilders, and a pro-European centrist party. With 99.7% of the votes tallied, the PVV Freedom Party, run by Wilders, was fractionally ahead of the D66 led by the energetic Rob Jetten. Every major party has ruled out working with Wilders, meaning Jetten is on track to become the country's youngest prime minister, even if he comes second. The D66 party of Jetten and the PVV Freedom Party of Wilders were both on 26 seats, with nearly 95% of votes counted, according to the second provisional estimate by the local ANP news agency. The gap was so close that overseas postal votes might decide the election, so a final result could yet take days. And when the final result is eventually confirmed, a long process of trying to forge a coalition will perhaps begin, with 76 parliamentary seats required for a majority. In France, the police have made further arrests linked to the Louvre heist, in which jewels worth $102 million were stolen from the museum's Apollo Gallery. French radio station RTL said 5 new suspects had been arrested simultaneously in different parts of the capital on Wednesday evening, citing judiciary sources. French TV station BFM said earlier on Thursday that a man suspected of being present at the crime scene when the brazen daylight robbery took place had been detained. The new arrests follow the detention over the weekend of 2 men suspected of breaking into the museum through an upstairs window and stealing the precious pieces. The pair had partially admitted their involvement in the heist under interrogation. The prosecutors did not rule out the possibility of a larger group, including a person who could have ordered the theft and been the mastermind behind it. The jewels, however, remain missing. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Prime Minister Modi addresses election rallies in Muzaffarpur and Chhapra ahead of the first phase of polls in the Bihar state. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets his Cypriot counterpart in New Delhi to strengthen bilateral relations. And thousands of greater flamingos and painted storks descend upon Tamil Nadu's Thoothukudi to its brackish waters migrating from Africa, Asia and Europe.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. We read between the lines, cut the clutter and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Gautam Roy. Now, the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson says India is studying the implications of US sanctions of Russian oil companies while remaining engaged with the American side on finalizing a trade deal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to inaugurate and initiate projects worth 1140 crore Indian rupees in Gujarat's Kevadia around Sardar Patel's Statue of Unity. Donald Trump dubs his meeting with Xi Jinping in Busan a great success. The US President agrees to trim fentanyl-related tariffs, and the Chinese President says he'll keep rare earth supplies going. Hurricane Melissa heads towards the Bahamas and Bermuda after wreaking havoc in Haiti and Jamaica. And in the second Women's Cricket World Cup semi-final, Australia are on the way to scoring a massive over 350 runs, the way it looks like at the moment, playing against India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday said that India is poised to become a major maritime hub, offering not only connectivity but value-added services, green shipping initiatives and industry-friendly policy frameworks. The Prime Minister said this while sharing his thoughts in a social media post on the country's emergence as a leading destination for investment in the maritime sector. He emphasized that India is the perfect harbour when it comes to investing in the maritime sector. Underlining that India has a long coastline and world-class ports, he called for investors to be part of the country's maritime growth story. And the PM's also addressed election rallies in Bihar's Muzaffarpur and Chhapra, campaigning for NDA candidates. This is the PM's second round of rallies in Bihar after his earlier addresses in Samastipur and Begusarai. Through his rally in Muzaffarpur's Motipur, the PM aimed to connect with voters across assembly constituencies in the region. In his address, Prime Minister Modi tried to strike an emotional chord with the masses, highlighting that the government is trying to get UNESCO heritage tag for the Chhath festival.
छठी मैया की पूजा ये हमारी साझी विरासत का उत्सव भी है। हम छठ महापर्व को मानवता के महापर्व के रूप में दुनिया की एक बहुत बड़ी संस्था है, दुनिया के सारे देश उसके साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। उस संस्था का नाम है यूनेस्को। हमारी सरकार लगातार कोशिश कर रही है कि हमारे इस छठ महापर्व को भी यूनेस्को की उस सूची में नाम दर्ज हो जाए। जरा पूरी ताकत से बताइए, जब दुनिया में ये महान विरासत के रूप में उसका नाम लिखा जाएगा, हर बिहारी को गर्व होगा कि नहीं होगा?
And leaders of other parties are also holding rallies to woo voters in Bihar. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi held a rally in Nalanda in favor of his party's candidate ahead of the first phase. India and Cyprus are trusted friends and reliable partners. He appreciated Cyprus's consistent support on issues of core interest to India, especially in the battle against cross-border terrorism.
India and Cyprus are trusted friends and reliable partners. Trust and time-tested are not easy adjectives to use nowadays, but certainly I think, do that with a great deal of confidence and assurance for this relationship. Our ties have developed into a comprehensive partnership anchored in mutual respect, shared democratic values, and a joint strategic vision. It is forward-looking and it is aligned with the interests and aspirations of both our countries. We also cooperate closely in regional and multilateral fora, including the United Nations, the European Union, and the Commonwealth frameworks.
And the Cypriot Foreign Affairs Minister is on a 3-day visit to India. On Thursday, Combos delivered the 55th Sapro House lecture in New Delhi. Speaking on the occasion, the minister said that being a European Union member state, Cyprus strongly supports the completion of EU-India Free Trade Agreement.
Cyprus strongly supports the conclusion of the long-negotiated FTA between EU and India, and the successful conclusion of this agreement will not only strengthen EU-India ties, but it will also unlock immense economic opportunities for Cyprus, for India, and for all the European countries.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh arrived in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday to attend the ASEAN Defence Ministers Meeting Plus, or the ADMM Plus. The Indian Defence Minister will be addressing the forum on reflection on 15 years of ADMM Plus and charting the way forward. On the sidelines of ADMM Plus, the second edition of ASEAN-India Defence Ministers informal meeting under the chairmanship of Malaysia will be held on Friday, where defence ministers from all ASEAN member countries will be taking part. The meeting aims to further strengthen defence and security cooperation among ASEAN member states and India and advance the Act East policy. Rajnath Singh will also hold discussions with the participating ADMM Plus nations on the greater cooperation in a wide range of areas, as well as the senior leadership from Malaysia. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is leading the Indian delegation from the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance, on an official visit to Bhutan from the 30th of this month till the 2nd of November. The Finance Minister will begin her official tour with a visit to the historic Sangchen Choikhor Monastery, established in 1765 and home to over 100 monks engaged in advanced Buddhist studies later today. As part of the visit, Sitaraman will visit and observe several key projects being implemented with support of the Government of India. The Minister will also call on the Bhutanese King, Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk, and Bhutan's Prime Minister, Tshering Togbe. She will also hold a bilateral meeting with her counterpart, Leke Dorji, to discuss avenues for further strengthening India-Bhutan economic and financial cooperation. India launched Operation Trishul on Thursday. It's a 12-day tri-service mega exercise along Pakistan's border in Gujarat and Rajasthan, zeroing in on the Flashpoint Creek in Kutch. The drill extends May's Operation Sindoor, showcasing India's unyielding defense resolve. Thousands of troops deployed cutting-edge gear, Army's T-90 tanks, BrahMos missiles, Akash defenses, Prachand helos, Para-Special Forces, Navy's Kolkata destroyers, Nilgiri frigates, Marcos, Air Force's Rafales, Su-30s, Sea Guardian drones, and Garud commandos. The Defence Research and Development Organization handed over 12 licensing agreements for transfer of technology, covering 8 products to industry partners at the Samanvay 2025 in Bangalore. Speaking to DD India, Dr. B. Das, Director General of Electronics and Communication Systems, DRDO, said that the move marks India's steady progress towards self-reliance in defence.
The core indigenization. If you look at today, whether you talk about radar warning receivers, whether you talk about the jammers, whether you talk about the excited receiver unit, all of them as a modular level, the technologies has been designed by our scientists and also being developed through industries. Whether it is for the Air Force, whether it is for the Army, whether it is for the Navy, this happens to be the trusted products which has to be and is being accepted and used by our armed forces.
India has expanded its financial assistance for students of Sri Lanka's Eastern University from economically disadvantaged backgrounds, fulfilling a commitment announced by Prime Minister Modi during President Alvaro Kumar Dissanayke's visit to India last December. The new scheme, launched on Thursday, raises the monthly scholarship from LKR 5,000 to LKR 7,500 for 100 undergraduates, with the number of beneficiaries rising to 400 by the 4th year. Indian High Commissioner Santosh Jha said the initiative supports Sri Lanka's Eastern Province development, as students and university officials thanked India for easing financial burden and boosting academic performance.
This support will greatly ease the finance burden of many deserved students and enable them to focus on their studies with renewed confidence and enthusiasm.
Union Minister for Labour, Employment and Youth Affairs and Sports, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, on Thursday said that the ancient site of Lothal, home to the world's oldest dock, stood as evidence of India's advanced maritime development 5,000 years ago. Dr. Mandavia, speaking at the Maritime Human Capital session hosted by the Shipping Corporation of India during India Maritime Week 2025 in Mumbai, highlighted India's historical prowess as a maritime talent hub with exceptional shipbuilding expertise.
हमारी शक्ति दुनिया पहचानेंगे। मुझे ब्रीफ करा गया दुनिया की बहुत बड़ी बड़ी शिपिंग कंपनी, शिप बिल्डिंग कंपनी, शिपिंग लाइन, शिप रिसाइकलिंग इंडस्ट्रीज यहां उपस्थित है। वो इंडिया की क्षमता और इंडिया की अपॉर्चुनिटी को मैप करेंगे और आने वाले दिनों में हमारी क्षमता और हमारी अपॉर्चुनिटी को एनकेज करने के लिए मैं मानता हूं कि इस मैरीटाइम वीक हमें बहुत उपयोगी होगा।
Also at the India Maritime Week 2025, Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited signed an exclusive teaming agreement with Swan Defence and Heavy Industries Limited, India's largest shipbuilding firm, for designing and building landing platform docks for the Indian Navy. The Defence Acquisition Council recently approved the LPD acquisition, enhancing naval power projection, amphibious operations and humanitarian aid capabilities.
We have signed the agreement with the MOU. Basically, there's a with MDL, Mazgaon Dock Limited, for the two things, the naval projects. One is for the landing platform dock vessels, 4 in numbers. It's a big project. And other one is the IAC-2, Indian Aircraft Carrier Program, second aircraft carrier. You know that MDL has already got huge amount of expertise and the competencies and capabilities of building the warships for the Indian Navy from 1960 onwards, destroyers, frigate, everything. Swan Defence, on the other hand, has got a huge infrastructure, a lot of automation, huge facility. We hope that we should be doing well in winning the contracts going forward.
Thousands of greater flamingos and painted storks have migrated to Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu state from across regions and continents such as Africa, Asia and Europe. Drawn by the region's brackish waters and abundant food, the birds are breeding and feeding at the White Lotus Pond in Srivaikuntam. Now, news about Hurricane Melissa. The Category 5 hurricane smashed through the northern Caribbean and was seen picking up speed as it churned across open ocean towards Bermuda on Thursday, leaving a trail of high winds and destruction from Jamaica to Cuba and Haiti in its wake. Melissa has killed at least 30 people in Haiti, Jamaica and Cuba combined. In Haiti, floods caused due to Melissa have claimed 20 lives, including 10 children, while Jamaica has declared a disaster area with destroyed homes, infrastructure and 25,000 in shelters. Cuba has had to evacuate about 735,000 people amid extensive damage to homes and power. Now weakened but still dangerous, Hurricane Melissa hit the Bahamas on Wednesday with winds and rain, heading to Bermuda on Thursday. The U.S. has deployed rescue teams and supplies to Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas, excluding Cuba, while the UK has pledged £2.5 million in aid. Experts say climate change had made Melissa 4 times more likely, boosting winds by 7%. In the aftermath, Jamaica faces $7.7 billion in damages, with a recovery spanning a decade. The U.S. Federal Reserve on Wednesday announced its second quarter-point rate cut in a row to bolster the flagging labour market in a move that highlighted the growing division in its ranks. Policymakers voted 10-2 in favour of lowering the bank's key lending rate to between 3.75% to 4%. The decision to cut rates boosts the U.S. economy at a time when businesses are still digesting the effects of President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs and buys policymakers some more time as they wait for the end of the government shutdown.
Higher tariffs are pushing up prices in some categories of goods, resulting in higher overall inflation. A reasonable base case is that the effects on inflation will be relatively short-lived, a one-time shift in the price level. But it is also possible that the inflationary effects could instead be more persistent, and that is a risk to be assessed and managed. In the committee's discussions at this meeting, there were strongly differing views about how to proceed in December. A further reduction in the policy rate at the December meeting is not a foregone conclusion. Far from it. Policy is not on a preset course.
The Bank of Japan has kept interest rates on hold at 0.5%, warning of lingering economic high uncertainties linked to U.S. trade tariffs. The decision came after the first monetary policy meeting held by Japan's new Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae, as the country is seen in the favor of monetary easing and active fiscal spending to boost the economy. The announcement also came after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's visit to Tokyo, along with U.S. President Donald Trump, who met Takaichi for the first time. Asian markets showed mixed reactions on Thursday after U.S. President Trump and China Xi struck a trade truce in Busan. Japan's Nikkei ended flat post Bank of Japan rate hold. Shanghai and Hong Kong dipped 0.7%. Seoul rose slightly on Samsung's 32% Q3 profit surge, while Taipei markets are trading flat. This follows Fed's rate cut, but December doubt boosting the US dollar and Nvidia to a $5 trillion valuation. Time now to get an update on different arenas of sports. First to cricket, an update from the second semi-final of the ICC Women's ODI World Cup between India and Australia. Phoebe Litchfield smashed a blazing century before getting dismissed by Amjot Kaur. Kranti Gaur provided India with an early breakthrough by dismissing Alyssa Healy, but the visitors recovered well. Litchfield and Perry steadied the ship, finding boundaries and rotating the strike with ease. Alyssa Perry brought up her half-century as well. Both would have a solid partnership of 155 as Australia crossed the 200-run mark. India need more breakthroughs as Australia continue to cruise to a big score in Navi Mumbai, currently at 299 for the loss of 4 wickets. So perhaps their run rate might slow down towards the end of their innings. Right now, it's 36.2 overs. Now, for the first time in the nation's cricketing history, South Africa have qualified for the final of the coveted ICC Women's ODI World Cup final. They advanced to the summit clash by beating England in the first semi-final. South Africa defeated England by 125 runs in a one-sided semi-final in Guwahati. The Proteas reached their third straight successive title clash after finals of the previous 2 T20 World Cups. Interestingly, South Africa lost to England in the semi-finals of the 2017 and 2022 editions of the 50-over World Cup. A historic 5-wicket haul by all-rounder Marizanne Kapp and a blazing century from skipper Laura Woolward helped South Africa secure their moment of redemption. The Proteas' captain scored 169 runs and was the third highest score by a batter in an ICC Women's World Cup knockout game. This is also the 5th highest individual score in ICC Women's World Cup history, behind Harmanpreet, Healy, England's Charlotte Edwards, Sri Lankan star Chamari Athapattu and Australian legend Belinda Clark. Cricket Association for the Blind in India on Wednesday unveiled Team India's official jersey for the upcoming historic inaugural Women's T20 World Cup Cricket for the Blind 2025. The launch event was graced by Chairman of the CABI, Dr. G.K. Mahantesh, alongside President Women's T20 World Cup Cricket for the Blind, Meenakshi Lekhi. A total of 6 nations will participate in the inaugural World Cup: Australia, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, United States of America and hosts India. 5 participating teams are scheduled to arrive in New Delhi on the 10th of November ahead of the grand inauguration ceremony on the 11th at New Delhi's Modern School.
Very excited, especially when we are going to host the inaugural matches in Delhi. Then we'll have some matches in Bangalore. But the finals and the semi-finals are going to be held in our friendly neighborhood, that is Sri Lanka, and co-hosting with Sri Lanka has been pretty exciting, especially the Prime Minister, while on her visit, was here in Delhi. She met the team. We've got a whole lot of support from our government. Ministers, including the President of India, has chosen to meet us. So the entire atmosphere is very, very positive.
Preparations are in full swing both in India and in Sri Lanka. So both governments are extending full support. Ministry of Sports, Government of India, and Ministry of Sports, Sri Lanka, and Sri Lankan government, our government, are fully supporting us. And our girls are very well prepared and they are eagerly waiting to play their tournament.
Now, with less than 100 days to go until the opening ceremonies of the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics, the organizers released a promotional video to celebrate crossing into the final stretch before the start of the Games. The 2026 Games will be co-hosted by Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo and run from the 6th of February to the 22nd next year. The Olympic events will be held over a large part of northern Italy, with a number of other locations hosting sports as well as the co-hosts Milan and Cortina. It is the first time that the Games have been held in Western Europe since Italy staged them in Turin in 2006. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Up next is more updates with my colleague Tanvi.